Welcome to the UK's first metal detection podcast. It's All Metal Mode UK with your host from across the pond, Mr. Michael Hare.
Hey everybody, this is Mike here and you're listening to the All Metal Mode UK podcast. Tonight's guest we have Chris Langston. I hope I said that correct. I know I think you guys cut me some slack since I'm an American and I butcher everybody's names and I talk different, so hopefully Chris will forgive me if I said that wrong. Before we start the show, before we get Dave on, I want to say something here. Especially as of lately, this has been in the news and kind of controversial. I expect everybody to please be respectful. If you have questions, if you get in chat and you want to ask questions, they need to be respectful. I will delete rude comments. We don't want drama. We don't want any issues. Hear him out. Let's talk to him. And me, for one, over in the United States, I have no problem with what he's doing. I can see some points, but I think when you talk to him, like I've talked to him pre-show, I think you'll feel a little more easy about it for you over in the UK. So, how you doing, Dave?
Absolutely not good, Mike. How's yourself?
You're not good.
Oh, I've just done 3 14-hour days back to back, so it's took it out of me a little bit.
Oh,
and then I done a 10-hour today, and then I'm up at 4 in the morning, back in 6 to 1 tomorrow. So looking forward to finishing at 1 o'clock tomorrow.
I bet that's right.
How's yourself?
I'm good. I'm really happy and good. I told you got the new updated version of the router, so I am excited, man.
Sweet.
Yeah, we might talk about that later. So, Chris, how are you doing?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me on.
Good evening, Chris.
Happy to have you on. So, tell us, for the listeners, we're going to try to get through this pretty quick. Chris needs to leave by 9, so we're going to try to get through this. We got a lot of questions, and we're just going to try to keep it going. So tell us about Metal Detecting Holidays. What is it? How did it come about?
So basically, I've been detecting for about 5 or 6 years by at this point when the idea was born, and I've just spent so much time. I'm self-employed and I make signs for a living normally, and spend most of my spare time, mostly during the day, making my signs at night, metal detecting, to make the most of my time. So I was doing a bit of print work for a friend of mine, and he said, "If you could do any kind of job, what would it be?" And I said, "Wouldn't it be great to just to have guys from all around the world come and dig up some of this brilliant stuff with me?" So he said to me, "Oh, well, put a few ideas together and come back to me." So I went back to him with a few ideas, because we only do like four guests at a time, and we only do 6 tours a year. So we're just trying to keep it smaller than what the other guys in the UK are doing it, and a little bit more personal. And he said, "Okay, write the website." So I made the website. Garrett came over, and the rest, as they say, excuse the pun, is history.
Mm-hmm. We'll have you give it out again, but go ahead and give us the website.
It's www.metaldetectingholidays.com.
Okay.
Now I'm going to have to go and have a look at that, aren't I?
Right.
But yeah.
So you kind of answered the second question already. How many come over, and how many holidays do you do over a year? Which you just answered, but does it vary any?
Yeah, I mean, some tours we've had 3 guys on. The most we've ever had on 5, 6 including myself. And they come and detect on what's actually our land, which, it belongs to us. We've got 500 acres. And then we've got a couple of friends which let us detect with the tour on some other land around our area as well. So works quite nice and keeps it. We've got the accommodation on site too. So the guests are all staying with us. Then we were only about 1.5 miles, 2 miles from where we detect in any direction. And they stay in a fantastic location right next to Whittington Castle, which we, just for the record, we don't dig on.
Got it. So what sort of era, what age are we looking at from the land that you know of historically?
Historically, we've pulled on the first tour that we had over with the Jocelyn and a few of the Garrett guys. We found 7 hammered coins on this little tiny patch and thought nothing more of it apart from, they're all short cross pennies. Anyway, next tour, we pulled out another 7 short cross pennies, so now we're up to 14. And the cows made an absolute mess of the field, and the farmer's given it a quick plough. So anyway, a further 19 has come up off this little tiny patch. So we've got a hoard of 39 short cross pennies.
Superb.
We've got that, which came off our land, and then I was just gobsmacked. We've got, like I say, 500 acres right over the other side, right by the old ford. We found a bronze spearhead, a broken bronze axe, and a socketed bronze axe complete. And KG and Ringy was one of the guys that found the socketed axe, which was, just had to have been there. So we've had quite a lot of, we're going from the Bronze Age through medieval, obviously, to modern, and we've had a bit of everything really, even a fibula off our land. So only the
predominantly medieval, obviously, with the scattered hoard.
Yes, I'd say so. But we've got the accommodation, and where we, like I say, we're a mile and a half from the accommodation. The accommodation is actually on the A5, next door but one to the castle. Mm-hmm. So it's a Roman road, as you know, the A5. Yeah. So, and it's on the road to Chester. It's on the road to Holyhead. So we are. Really
I know it well. I'm from Ellesmere Port, so obviously I've spent many a year. In fact, Ellesmere is not that far away, is it? The lake and what have you.
Yeah, well, we're about 5 mile from Ellesmere.
Oh, there you go. I used to spend a lot of the time there as a child, so I know the area quite well. In fact,
I've seen the posters.
Not that far as the crow flies. Me and some of my friends have been excavators, digging at near Market Drayton, not far from Market Drayton. Again, not far as the crow flies, really. And again, medieval, phenomenal amount of finds. We've actually between us, I think we're in the 50s now with Jettons. Fantastic. That's obvious, but they can't class that as a hoard per se. But yeah, fantastic areas, Shropshire.
But if you look at a map, this is available on our website, and if you just Google it and you put fortified manor houses and castles in the UK and have a look at the map, there's almost like a line down the edge of Wales to England, and it's just all castles, and it's because of that they were just trying to. It's like Hadrian's Wall for medieval times, if you like.
Yeah,
and we're right on that rich theme, so it's all good.
Oh yeah, I'm just looking at that map now. Yeah. So is that close to the I forgot the name of the wall. The wall that runs all the way down Wales.
Offers Dyke.
Offers Dyke, that's the one. Yeah. Sorry.
We are about 1.5 miles from Watts Dyke and about 3 miles from Offers Dyke.
Plenty of history then. Perfect.
Oh yeah, we've got the 3rd largest hill fort in the UK right on our doorstep. That's about 1.5 miles away from the accommodation as well. Uh-huh. So the whole area it's like almost like a T-junction. Once you've come up from the south of England and you get to Oswestry in Shropshire, you can either go, I think it's left South Wales and right North Wales, or the hills are straight in front of you. So it's almost like a T-junction where we're at.
I'm right in saying the castle as well. One of the characters, or some of the characters from the Harry Potters was set on the Peverils. Yes,
that's it. And also the legendary Dick Whittington hails from Whittington Castle.
Right.
And the owner of the castle who had it built was Richard Fitzguarine, who left to seek his fortune in London, apparently. So Yeah, so it's steeped in the history. We've got Babbins Wood just up the road, which is like about a quarter of a mile away from Whittington, which is where the Babes in the Wood pantomime, that story all comes from.
Mm-hmm.
It's just great. It's like a big mix.
I'm just reading on your website about Graham Phillips's links to the Grail legends at Fulk, Fitzwarren, and Whittington Castle also.
Yeah, and there's been a suit of armour found in the moat at the castle, and it's all that. They get the whole experience, all like wherever they're from, because we're not just exclusive to American people. They get the whole, medieval experience. They stay in our place, which is Victorian. They can just go out for a stroll, go to the pub, 100 yards. There's a castle, have a pint in the beer garden, look at the pub, look at the castle, look at the moat, and just think about the finds they've made. It's great.
Mm. Now, I do a small weekly newscast. I'm the editor of the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine, along with Luke. I do a small newscast on a Sunday evening, and I was talking, obviously, about your last week's big expose in all the newspapers that was probably pure bunkum. In fact, I actually said that on the show itself. And obviously I made a comment on there which I personally am not a fan of organised events. I wrote an article on it some time ago, and please, I'm not being dismissive or anything, don't think that. It's just I've got obviously a personal belief, and one of the reasons I've been wanting to speak to you is for you to alter my perception. Obviously we've got charity events, we've got digs by groups, we've got digs by companies set up primarily to do weekly digs and make a living out of it, and then we've got something different again with yourself with the metal detecting holidays. So I am actually attempting to alter my perception, because I have to remain unbiased as the editor of the magazine and obviously on the show. So tonight we've got an hour to alter my perception somewhat as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what I've seen from when doing the metal detector, where the idea came from me, I spotted ones down the south of England doing it, for like groups of 10 tourists and what have you. And that's down like the southeast, I think they're based. And that's what got me looking at it. But the thought of taking 10 people around a field with me was just absolutely just not my thing. That's why we decided for like smaller groups. We can keep them, not leave them in their American bubble or their Australian bubble or their separate little bubble, and just sort of like immerse them into the full English experience. So that's what we wanted to do. We are actually the cheapest ones to come with. That's the other criteria that I had in mind, that we needed to be cheaper than anyone else in the UK doing this sort of thing, which we are. So yeah, it's that's I didn't want it. The thing that I was worried about was having it look like we were making thousands and thousands of pounds, where we clearly aren't. Mm-hmm. By the time we've taken our bits and bobs out of it, it has turned into a bit of a job for me. I do make some money out of it. When you tie in all the hourly rates, as in any self-employed business, with all the hours that you put in before, after, and during, and you don't really want to think about your hourly rate. So, because it's generally very low. I mean, the exporting of the finds themselves probably takes 3 times longer than the actual tour, just doing all of that, So it's one of those, we've just tried to keep it as small as possible so it doesn't have any impact. Obviously, recording things about finds leaving the country, we want to keep that to a minimum, i.e. the hoard that everybody's found has all been donated to the local museum. So thumbs up, guys. Everything that's been found, including the papal bulla, some trench art, and a few bits and pieces of other finds like the bronze bits and pieces, have all gone on display in the local museum while that process is waiting for them to get exported. So not only is it getting recorded, obviously, it's also going on display in our local area for everybody to see before it goes, should it go. But the response we've had from the guests is, if you want it and it's important, please keep it. And and everyone seems happy to go along with that. And like the Flow's always said to me, we really should keep that in the county.
And that is the Shropshire FLO.
Yeah, Peter Revel. So I've dealt with him since the beginning. We laid the cards on the table, told him what we were doing, and he supported us throughout. Not through the past. Just with his help, knowledge, and guidelines. Basically, that I'd be lost without him. Because he comes to my call every time I send him a photo in the field, going, "What's this?" He's straight on it. So,
I would like to say something, and I know this isn't for everybody, but I would assume a group of people, even here from the United States, I would just, love the opportunity to come over there and metal detect. I don't need to take it home. I can take pictures of it and they'll last a lifetime, and I've got the stories. And that was one of the questions I was going to ask. Do you get people that are okay? And I would assume a big group of them are. They, I think there's a lot of people in this hobby at all different ranges of knowledge and stuff. But I think if you're going to put the money out for a hunt, you've come to a point where it's not as important as keeping it as much fun as it is finding it.
Yeah, I mean, what we find is that the friendships that are forged with the people that have come over and stayed with us, of kind of almost as they're the people that are still talking to each other. That's part of the treasure for them as well. Is that whole camaraderie thing. I mean, people obviously don't spend that much money to come over just to make a friend, but it's that whole experience that there's four of you in a field, one of you finds something, it's all high five. It's great. You should come over. And you'd know, and you should speak to me off air, and we'll try and arrange something with you, because it really is such a fantastic thing to be involved with.
Oh, I've got a baby. I can't afford. Don't be mistaken that I have the money. That little thing sucks me dry on everything. I mean, I knew kids were expensive. Everybody said everything. Of course, I've got a 9-year-old stepdaughter, but geez, that baby.
Right. Mike, why don't we do it? An all metal mode UK crowdfunder for Mike to come to win.
It'll happen sometime. Give it a couple years, and it'll happen. And a part of the problem is we're each over 1,000 miles away from family. I couldn't come over there for long, and Steph could take off, but then we're not having a holiday together. We can't bring the kids. Our families are at least 1,000 miles apart, so the kids would have to go. It just makes it difficult. If I could take, my mom, my brothers would happily take the kids, but I'd have to get them there first and everything else. So it's just not in the cards right now, but who knows? When I had the Dubays on, the Dubays said, "Mike, come over, just get your flight. You can stay with us and everything else." And my friend Matt that does the podcast Tuesday nights, he's like, "Mike, let's do it." And I'm like, I don't have the money. He's like, "I'll pay for it. Let's go. Let's get our passports. Let's go." And it's like, I don't know what I would do with the kids. I don't, Steph can't take off work like that long. She's not going to, because if she's going to take off, she wants to spend time with me. So it'll happen though. I am coming over there one way or another. It's on my bucket list. Unless I die, unless I croak.
No, hopefully you'll be with us before.
Yeah. It's not like I'm a big fat guy. Oh yeah, I am a big fat guy. Yeah,
you're after discount.
That's me as well, Mike. What finds have been the standout ones during the existence of MDH?
Right, I would say obviously the 39 short cross horde. That was a coalition of finders with that one. So that one stands out because 10 people were involved in the recovery of that. So yeah, that one stands out. Like I said, we are based. This is just bizarre. This is a bit odd me telling you this, but why not? Because Ken Cunliffe, detectorist.com. He's a return visitor. On his first visit over here, he was detecting in the back garden of our accommodation, which, like I said, is 100 yards from the castle. And it's been detected over before. I've had a go. The Garrett lot had a go. He found a little round piece of lead. He came up to me. He goes, "Hey man," he goes, "What do you think this is?" And this, bearing in mind, this is in the back garden of the accommodation. It's quite a large garden. It was a medieval lead seal matrix, 12th, 13th century, with the name on it, Ricardo. Now, we've just already gone through this about the people from the castle being called Richard and Dick Whittington. So could that be Richard's, Dick Whittington seal matrix? Very tedious link, but it was within spitting distance of the castle. Incredible. So that, for me, was one of the star finds and actually being in our ground, before they'd even set off to the fields. So yeah, that was probably one of the highlights, and obviously finding all the bronze axe bits and pieces, and it's always a big smile for everybody and on their faces when they find a hammered coin. There seems to be a big obsession for hammered coins, and everyone can relax once they found one. but we all know about that, don't we? So
indeed. So what is the process? Is it any different for the finds going abroad?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Obviously, we'll talk about legality and such like in a moment, but what's the process for the items to go in abroad?
Well, basically, what I do is once all the finds daily, the guys, as they come in, I'll start from the beginning. They'll find the stuff, they'll go home, and then they'll log down where they found it on their recording sheet for me. At the end of the tour, they hand everything over with their recording sheets on, so I know where they found it. And because there's only 4 of us, I know where most of it was found anyway. And I then catalogue all of that, take all of the recordable things down to Peter Reeville, and he looks over the ones that things need recording or can give me more identification on, and keeps hold of those. And I do the rest, basically. So there's a certain amount that doesn't go through the pass, like a musket ball. They don't really need those on the database. And there's the modern coinage, the roll of random lead, the triangle of lead. But everyone wants to keep their bits and pieces that they found, so we honour that and send it all back. So the stuff that doesn't need recording, it just gets logged, and then a copy of that goes to the local museum, and it all goes through the exports licensing unit, which is part of the Arts Council. And so I have to take everything to Peter, log it all, that's the flow, and then send it all off to the Arts Council. They send it all back to me appraised. Then I can accompany their package to the finder when it gets sent back. So if it gets stopped at customs, it's actually got some provenance to it, and others rather than just seized, which was, on these big digs that you've got where you do get a lot of international people turning up. There's stories and tales of people getting, fibulas taken off them at customs, going back into their own countries, and because they've got no paperwork and provenance to it.
Real quick, Chris. Gary Smith says hello. He can't get in the chat, but he wanted to say hello to you.
Say hey, Gary.
There you go.
Yeah, he helped me. I went out for a couple of hours this afternoon. I found half of a Mary Groat. I found a Mary Groat New Year's Eve. And this afternoon, I found half a Mary Groat. So he helped me out to identify that this afternoon because it was totally worn. If you have a look on our Instagram page, you'll see there. So there's a lot of what I post up on the Instagram for myself when the guests aren't here is land, which is just permission where we haven't got permission for American guests or Australian guests or international guests to walk around. So where I go detecting, it doesn't actually interfere with any of the other permission that we've got for the guests. Obviously, otherwise I'd be doing myself down every time I found something.
Instagram. Now, yeah. Instagram, isn't that where like all these Americans see and come over?
No, that's the Times rang me up just before Christmas and just asked for a nice little interview, and I just said to them, this is great. Told them everything, told them how many people are on each tour, told them how many tours, and their little spin on it was American tourists flood or flock to dig a piece of history. Now, I hadn't just said American because we've had Australians, we've had people from Finland, from Europe, we've had people from everywhere. And there's not hundreds. Like today, I think we've just had just over 20 guests from starting in 2017. If you look on our Instagram, you'll be able to spot them all, 1 or 2 of them twice. And so, there isn't hundreds of people coming over. There's one that's just come to my attention, where apparently we've had 300 guests. There should be 2,500 fines recorded, yet there isn't a single fine recorded for where the people are staying. And I'm trying to explain that it takes a while for everything to go live on the Portable Antiquities scheme, and so yeah, there's quite a bit of spin, and of course the Mirror took it a different way, and then the Daily Fail they took it a different way again, didn't they? So
now,
it's
now I got a question for you, a little sticky maybe. Are you aware of companies or people doing what you're doing that you don't agree with? You don't agree with how they're doing it?
I wouldn't like to comment really, because I've never been on one of their tours, and the basis of what we've done essentially is, from what I've seen online, trying to replicate that, but try and make it a bit more of a luxury package. So, i.e. fresh coffee, filter coffee in the field, sandwiches and lunch, fancy accommodation and all the rest of it. So that's what we. I don't really. I've heard things, but I don't really sort of go on what's said. Believe nothing of what you see and only half of what you hear, isn't it?
Yeah,
or the other way.
Absolutely.
Well, one of the things that Luke mentioned to us, Chris, is the potential. Obviously, I don't know if you've listened to all or any of the shows that we've done previously, but I think the incarnation of the All Metal Mode UK podcast was what was supposed to be Mike ringing me up on Skype and doing a 10-minute interview at Detectable turned into a 2-hour show, walking around interviewing more or less 1,700 people or something stupid, about 20 people anyway. What we were discussing is the potential in the future of actually participating in, or not so much participating in one of your events, but coming along while you've got how many ever people there, and actually taking part in the events, discussing things with you live with Mike on the phone, and also the guests as well. Would you be up for that?
Yeah, of course, yeah, absolutely, welcome it. Like I say, with there's only sort of like 4 or 5 of us there anyway, so it's not a big thing to sort of like get everyone to have a chat. And I'm sure most of everyone would love to show you what they found and how they're getting on. And
I mean, we could even turn it into maybe not so much a live broadcast, Mike, but a pre-recorded one, so you can edit it through to suit maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing, real quick, Chris, I was thinking of while Dave was asking you a couple questions. What I'll do, I do shows here in the United States as well that are, this show is completely for UK, it's UK guests and everything else. But as I'm sitting here, we're doing this, I'm thinking, this would be a great show for my US shows. So what I'll do is once we get this recorded, give me a couple days and I'll post it on there too. And then people from the United States can tune in and, listen.
Yeah, you've only got 12,600 followers on there, Mike.
yeah, that's it. So maybe we can get you, might get you some business and stuff through that. Now, next question I have real quick, and I wouldn't dare accuse you of this or anything. And I already know your answer because I'm already picking up what kind of guy you are, but I once talked to a guy who was in the military over in England for many years, and he was a big detectorist. And I met him through a club, and we had talked extensively about his time over there and metal detecting and everything else. And I had heard some people had complained who had gone on some of these hunts that they felt like stuff had been planted. And he said that over there he'd heard the same thing because, living in the UK but being an American and this and that. Do you know if any of that goes on or has gone on in the past?
All I know, and I can hand on heart and reassure everybody, it's not something that we do. We've had days where everyone's had buttons. We've never had the whole tour be a failure or anything like that. But we've had days that have been soul destroying, and it does always make everybody think, how does he always keep finding? We do that in the field with our friends, you know. It's like, what's he got that I haven't, you know? So there's always that going to be in everybody's head. So that's the first thing to be mindful of, you know, because somebody hasn't found something, and why has he found it? Is it fixed? Is it flawed? Has someone put it there? But the only one that's ever been brought to my attention was one in the Midlands, without being slanderous or pinpointing anybody. It was in the Midlands of the UK, and a hoard of Roman coins had been planted. And the person that found them took them to the flow, and some of them had got wax on, and some of them had been cleaned, and they got told that it wasn't. And that search club search, I don't know whether it's still going or not. I shouldn't imagine so. So yes.
Yeah, it's something we covered. I think it was last year when that took place, and the lady who discovered the hoard was absolutely devastated. In fact, she was so devastated. I contacted her to try and speak to her and get a piece for the magazine. You know, I wasn't pushing anything. It was just, you know, her side of what's happened. But she was so upset she couldn't do it.
Well, you can imagine. What would you do if your friend stitched you up, even if it's for a bit of a joke? You know, you'll get over it, admittedly. But when you found it, and then you find out that it's like giving someone a false scratch card. You know, not the monetary value, but it's for their, oh my god.
Yeah, I never win on scratch cards either.
Maybe you should get one tonight before you go to bed.
I'm going to bed in a minute.
But no, it's we've had one guest, you know, again, I won't name any names, that questioned if I'd put something there, and because she found a buckle on the surface. And it was a rusty old Georgian buckle, you know, like by just copper alloy. But I had to try and reassure her that, you know, A, I wouldn't have put it on the surface, and B, it does happen. You do find buckles and stuff on the surface. So, you know, there's always that skepticism in everybody's mind. But no, if you're trying to pinpoint something the size of a piece of foil that's size smaller than a cent or a 5p piece as a hammered, and these guys are pulling them, there's no way you could lead people to these things or ultimately be able to afford to put that much in.
No,
have any of your guests actually flew home empty-handed, more or less?
No. We've had one. I think we've had one or one go back, I think, without the holy grail of metal detecting in England being a hammered coin. But
that'd be my luck. That'd be my luck right there.
That person went home with a bunch of nice silvers, some Tudor complete buckles with pinned spectacle buckles, a bit of Roman. So, you know, it's one of those, and we've had one guy turn up with no metal detector, borrowed a Garrett, basically learnt the Garrett for a week, and he came home with a pocket watch, hammered, 5 silvers, 100 coins in total. You know, so it's one of those that, yeah.
Now, when you have people over, is it like everybody stays in a tight group and you take them around, or do you say, here's the land if you need anything? I mean, how does that work?
No, basically, which I'm going to need to stop saying basically because it's quite complicated, is I pick you guys up, say if you guys are going, I pick the guys up at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. Everyone jumps in the van. I've got all the lunch and everything in the van. Everyone's sorted their own breakfast out because all that's provided. And then I stay with the 3, 4, 5 people in the field throughout the day. You know, so I identify and find, making sure everyone's okay, guiding people round. Right, we'll do this field, then we'll do that field. And then as the week progresses, it goes up to vote who wants to go back where. So it's just down to the group by midweek where they decide they want to go back to.
Is there a chance or a likelihood that your land is at some point going to become to the point where you can't physically do it anymore because there's nothing coming up?
There would be a point, I expect, like you and I, all three of us have got our own favourite permissions that gets quieter, then you'll go back again and then bang something nice. So we've got so much land, there's about 3,000 acres in total that we can go on. And with 4 people at a time, 6 times a year.
Is that you only do 6 trips a year, do you?
Yeah, well, it's we do 3 in the first half of the year and 3 in the last half of the year, with the odd weekend just with 1 or 2 people in between. So it's that's the impact that we have. It's just like going out with your mates, really.
Yeah, I like
so
that. That's
for
nice.
the listeners, obviously, if Mike's going to play this on the US, could you tell us what the cost of the holidays are and what is actually included, what the type of accommodation is, etc., that comes with the tour?
Yeah, I mean, I can give you a brief overlook of it, but the best thing to do is look on the website, metaldetectingholidays.com, and everything, including the pictures of the types of accommodation that you've got to choose from, are on there. So we've got accommodation ranging from a glamping bus to a shepherd's hut to a West Wing, which is like a Georgian sort of fully kitted out room with a sleigh bed and all silverware and fancy gold gilded mirrors and stuff. Then we've got a converted, more modernised coach house, which is next door to that. So there's like a choice of about 3 or 4 bits of accommodation. The price is £1,499, and that's for your 12 days, which there's a day travel either end. You get all of your transfers, you get your obviously your accommodation, lunch in the field, and breakfast, everything provided, including laundry. So basically, you just chauffeured around everywhere.
So
everyone,
real quick, Dave, I forgot. What's that stuff that's made from the leftover beer stuff that everybody was talking about? So gross.
mild. Yeah.
How much would it cost me to come over, stay in a tent, and get a can of that for the week? I'm just kidding.
Well, I'll tell you what,
I had a keg of Robinson's Trooper on New Year's Eve, and it cost me £12 from the Robinson's Brewery, and it had 9 pints in it, and it was fantastic. So I'll sort you out with a keg or 2.
But as far as the value for money, if that's what you're getting at with your tent, rocking up with your tent and your can of beer, it's the accommodation that we offer is almost like a hotel, a very sort of homely, very upmarket accommodation. All the export license, everything gets dealt for you apart from your evening meal. That's all you've got to do yourself, is just provide your own evening meal. So what if the average American, and I'm sure there's lots of people, or Australian, come over, go to weekend digs. The digs are £15. You can get a B&B for like 60 or 70 quid for the night. You could do it that way, but we take all of that out. So
right.
and give you that easy. You don't even have to worry about getting picked up from the airport. We'll be there with a little sign saying, "Come and join us." We whiz you back. We look after you. If you fall like tired in the field, we'll whiz you home. No problem. Everything's on hand for you. So that's what we strive to try and do, is just try and give everything that simplicity. Rock up, go detecting, come back, and we'll do everything else for you.
So we've got a question from Kimmy and the Kimmy Debate in the chat room. She asks about people in the UK participating. Do you do many with people in the UK? And if so, is the sort of cost the same, or do you do sort of like a weekend event or anything like that?
We don't do like your standard. Hi, Kimmy, because I think I know you. I think I'm on your Garrett Ace users page, I think. We do digs, which are just generally just with accommodation. The cost works out kind of the same, but on a daily rate. But you get your accommodation, lunch in the field, personal one-to-one. The beauty of it, when I've had English people come over, is that I can take them onto my little permissions where I only normally go myself, where I can't take groups of people, but I can take just one. Mm-hmm. So you do get to come on the other parts where the other tours don't go when it's just 1 or 2 people. So we've had a few people come over to get to learn how the machine works properly, because I've extensively used a Euroace, and I upgraded to the 80 Pro, which I extensively used, and now I've extensively used the Max. So through that, I've got like quite a good grip on the Garrett side of things for people, which I know not everybody's a Garrett user.
Hey, Chris.
Another
real quick-
question from
go ahead.
Scotty B. Sorry, Mike.
No, go ahead.
Do you actually supply the detectors, or do the detectorists supply their own?
We have got a couple on hand. There's a Max and a Pro, and there's a 300i there as a spare should anyone have a problem. But it's just like we try and say it as, if you're going to dedicate your time and your money to coming over and staying with us, then it probably is worth bringing your own equipment. Just like if you're at a fishing match, you know, you don't want to rock up at a fishing match and someone say, "Yeah, here's a rod and line." You'd be like, So you do need to know your detector before you come. Otherwise, you are. And people have come over and like I've said before, and just borrowed just a small Garrett and got away, you know, gone and smashed it with hammers and all sorts, you know. So it's one of those that we had always advised that you know your machine, and then you're going to get the best results coming hunting with us. But we'll look after a novice, no problem.
Chris, the land, is it exclusive to you, and does anybody else hunt on it when you don't have tours and stuff, and was it virgin when you started? Do you know?
As far as I know, most of the places in the UK have been hunted. It seems to have come in surges, the metal detecting things. In the 70s, there was a big roar. In the 80s, there was a big roar. And it didn't. I don't think it happened in the 90s, but it's certainly happening now, isn't it? Where it's having a big resurgence due to social media.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're having so much. You can literally just find something, pull it out of the ground, post it, and someone will tell you what it is, what class it is, where it was minted within seconds. So it's all there for you. So, yeah.
Is it exclusive to you?
Yes.
Okay,
we own the 500 acres we own. Nobody else goes on that because we actually own the land. And the other land that has, as far as I know, that has also been detected on. But as the technology's improved, the finds are coming up, you know. So you're getting the depth and you're getting the different signals. The other lands that we've detected on, there's one or two people being on there, but this is where we found the Horde. This is where we found Bronze Age axe heads, Roman silver. You know, it's so it's one of those that there's no clubs, as far as I know, being on any of our permissions. Just the odd sort of like lone detectorist. That'd be the whole thing to me.
Very cool.
Now, we know you've been in the national press a lot over the past week, and I think this question will give you the opportunity to throw away some of the comments that were made, perhaps. The coverage has been mixed, some positive, some negative. I know you feel certain things got wrongly represented, and if you think I'm talking silly, it's because I've got cramp. How do you feel about the media coverage?
From what the Times put out there originally, which is the guys that I actually spoke to, bearing in mind I never spoke to any of the other media people on, you know, apart from Talk Radio. So it was the Times and Talk Radio where I actually got to actually put my own word over. Everything was sort of like skewed and put like very scaremongery. You know, they're coming over here and taking our treasure and our women and what's going to be next. You know, it was that sort of thing. And they're paying to take our history and all this, that, and the other. And then like I say, we do things so meticulously that we probably record more than your average detectorist because, you know, we're not throwing that clad change in a way. We're recording it and giving it to the museum. So we are actually recording everything through. But yeah, it's a bit mad.
I don't think we've gotten through an episode where you haven't got a bad cramp yet, have we, Dave?
No, two. We've done two.
Oh, you poor guy.
Last week and the week before. And it's always in the same. It's because the way I sit in my chair and I start fiddling and what have you, and it hits me then. So I'm now stood up like I've got my leg on the thingy like a ballerina doing some stretches at the moment. Lovely thought you got there.
I want to ask Dave real quick. So I mean, I know we're not done, but are you feeling any different about it after where we're at?
To be fair, obviously, when I was metal detecting holidays, to me initially was a case of somebody else making money, and with all due respect, Chris, that's my own personal view originally.
Yeah.
Obviously, I spoke to Robin, and Robin, he said otherwise. This is the case. This is how it works, etc., etc. I've not obviously had opportunity to speak to you privately. Now I'm speaking to you publicly, and in respects to this, yes, my mind has changed. In other areas, like the case with the Roman horde, that's got a lot of work to do. Groups like that, detectable again.
I've heard.
The metal detectives, the work that they do as well. Having been to an experienced detectable, having spoke to the people participating, both businesses and the organisers and people participating, yes, I can totally get on board with. I wouldn't go again if that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
But then you've got the smaller entities, the people who are advertising in national newspapers to say we will pay you X amount of thousands of pounds to use your land, and then making thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds on top of that. That's what gets me goat a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, we've been approached with one of the questions: are you going to leave some of that history for us? And we're kind of like, hey, that's our land, and we've put it in the museum anyway.
Right. Yeah, I would say I would like to just say real quick that I see both sides of it. I mean, on one hand, being an American, if you don't know somebody over there, what you're offering is just amazing for people that want to do something like this. And I can see the other side on some of it, but I think if it's done responsibly and correctly, and it sounds like you absolutely are to every extent, then I think it's great. And I think it's nothing but good. And I think, especially talking to you, I think it's, good for you and great. Real quick, I know we're getting close to the end and we got some questions. So how does the recording process work and the export process? What is that?
We've done that, Mike.
Well, we did, but I mean, we didn't go into. I mean, how long does it take? And then, all that.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
So basically, the process can be quite lengthy. Any detectorist in the UK will tell you that as soon as things get looked at by the museum, you've got a long wait on your hands. Because that's how it is. It's usually treasure cases, particularly. There's people that don't get their goods disclaimed for like a couple of years. There's been cases of even longer. But we aim, because I'm doing the export licenses myself, we're trying to aim to get everything out between 12 and 18 months. And there are other tours in the UK that will get your fines out quicker and all through the proper process, I'll hasten to say. But those areas of the UK that they're at have got more flows, and they've got more people working in units to get everything processed a lot quicker. Whereas up here in Shropshire, we've got one flow for the whole of the largest landlocked county in the UK, which is Shropshire. And he's also responsible for Herefordshire. One person, no intern, just him. So we have to sort of like join a queue of recording fines through him. And because we're a business, we don't get any preferential treatment. Bob, who's just found that Bronze Age axe side over the road, imaginary Bob, would definitely sort of like jump the queue of us. So we're at the mercy of what's found in Shropshire. And just recently in the news, I don't know whether you saw it, that big gold buller was found in Shropshire, wasn't it? Which is now they're saying that Shropshire is the Bronze Age capital of the UK, supposedly. So, that's put even more pressure onto him, and it's delayed my things even more. So, and again, he was responsible for recording this piano hoard where I don't know whether it was 40 odd sovereigns were found in the leg of a piano. Again, that stopped. That held my personal treasure case up by about 7 or 8 months. Yeah, but he was on the international news. So there are lots of variables, but we say between 12 and 18 months to get your fines back. And that way, we're not disappointing anyone.
Now, do you hold on to those fines before they can be sent out? Okay, so you do, not him. Okay, and then
the museums again get a bad rap by the UK detectorists. Everyone does their best, but there's a lot of people saying that museums tend to lose things, and ultimately have the right to sell things if they acquire them. So what I try and do is only the treasure cases or the things that actually need to go to the flow, which get locked in his safe. The rest of the fines get locked in my safe and are with me and never leave me. So there's a spare key as well. Someone's got just my business partner and I are the only key holders to the safe. Okay. And so that's where everyone's fines are, because obviously that's one of our other worries. What happens if we send a bunch of stuff off and it doesn't come back? So, and I only apply for the paperwork. I don't send all the fines to apply for the paperwork. I just send the paperwork of the fines that I've recorded.
That's awesome.
What is the general reaction in the UK? Obviously, you will see stuff on forums and people won't realise you're the person involved in MDH. What is the general reaction that you've seen in the UK? We were looking at this, and I would say the majority of people a thumbs up. If anyone was going to be upset, you'd think it was the archaeologists and the flow with all the negative press, but he understands, because the past gets so much grief from metal detectorists. So he understands that, it's a bit of a minefield. You're never going to make everybody happy all of the time. But it seems to me that 3/4 of the people that I've encountered, possibly more, seem to be sort of like pretty much behind what we're doing and understand that we're doing it properly and recording everything properly and actually retrieving history, just like the hoard that we found. And if it wasn't for the people involved, that would never be in the local museum. And that's the only hoard that's ever been in that museum. So that wouldn't be possible without the help of everyone internationally. So how fantastic is that? It is. Is that the Oswestry museum that the
yes.
artifacts are in? Yeah.
It is, yeah.
So obviously anybody listening who is in the area, or anybody that listens in the area, can pop along and see that any time.
Well, the hoard is actually with the British Museum getting catalogued at the moment. As soon as it comes back from there, it's going into that museum. What's in the museum in Oswestry at the moment is a papal bulla seal, which is one of only two of Pope Pius II, which have ever been found in the UK, and that was found by an American guest. A trench art bullet, some fancy high status buttons, and lots of, like I say, the finds that are waiting to go on display to go out with permission of the finders. Some of them are in the museum for people to see, with photos of the finders as well, so they can all go and see all that.
Marvellous. Where am I? We've done that one. So what's next to metal detecting holidays in 2019?
I'd say we're almost full with bookings, so I think we've got a couple of slots left towards the last part of the year, but we've got I think it's 12 or 15 people booked in for the first 3 or 4 tours, so that's all sorted. We've got definitely the Hoover Boys coming over in March. I don't know whether you're aware of the Hoover Boys.
I'm not.
I don't know.
I've heard of them. Yeah, I know of them.
Yeah, so they're coming over, and with Dr. Tones, which is Brandon Ray Nice, they're coming over in March. We've got KG and Ringy returning for a return trip in August. We're talking to another big Garrett player as well to try and get him in towards the end of November as well, sort of like running their own tours, bringing people with them to go and hunt with them, if you like, so.
So it's a busy year again then.
Yeah. Well, like last year was, it was our first year in infancy. We put thousands into it, including the website and all the rest of it that goes with setting up a business. So we didn't really sort of like realize and fill all of our tours last year, so we kind of struggled through a little bit and just kept at it. And this year it's towards the end of last year we started getting all the bookings for this year, and that's when once we'd reached that 12-month point, which was last September, it's just flown. It just has actually flown.
And you're obviously enjoying it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so passionate about it. I'm just like every other metal detectorist that's mind runs wild every time somebody finds it, or when you find something and you wonder, how did that get there? A musket ball does it for me. It doesn't have to be a coin. So I'm just passionate about that whole side of thing. Mm-hmm. And to see the look on their faces. The gutted part about it all is that I don't get to detect so much as I would normally when the American guys are here or the Australians are here, because I'm constantly walking between the two of them, or three of them, four of them. And but when they find something, it's like, yes. I think I get more excited than they do sometimes, because they don't know what it is straight away. Like the buller, for instance, it was like, just like, oh my god. So and likewise with the Bronze Age tools, it was just like it. You find yourself in hugging people with compulsively. It's like, I love it. I'm so passionate about history, detecting, and just to share that with somebody, for me, and to know in myself that we're not taking the rise by doing this on a mass sort of biblical scale. It sits well with me, the amount of people that we have, the amount of times that we do it, and what people go home with, primarily, and it all sits really well with me, which I don't think I've ever felt like in any other job.
That's awesome. Now, is it a full-time thing for you?
It's getting that way. Like I was saying with the recording of the finds, you probably for the 100 hours that you're out in the fields combined over the tour, it takes me that again to process all the finds. So it is becoming that way, and my other half doesn't really like it when I tell him I'm going to the office. As you can imagine.
David, it is almost 9:00. Is there anything we left out? Anything else you want to ask him?
No, obviously, I did come on with the hope of changing my mind. I think you've succeeded there. I would like to speak to you about bits and bobs privately. Obviously, coming down and visiting in the future and doing something live or pre-recorded for this show. So obviously I'm friends of you on Facebook. I could do that at any time. Just bear with me. I'm busier than you would believe. I work at JCB, so you can imagine how busy that is getting at the moment.
You're in Wrexham?
No, I'm in Roston, near Uttoxeter. I live in Congleton now, which is about an hour and a half from yourself, and I'm from Ellesmere Port. My brother doesn't live that far away from you in Wrexham.
Oh, you're a Stokey, aren't you?
No, I'm from Ellesmere Port.
Oh, right.
I'm no clayhead.
There you go.
No, I'm just lost.
I'll communicate with you off air, and we'll obviously do some bits and bobs together, hopefully. And obviously, you've been in communication with Luke, so that won't be a problem.
Chris, we have 2 minutes. Give us everywhere people can follow you, find you, contact you, all that.
Right. If you want to find out more about metal detecting holidays, whether you're from the UK or international, look at us on metaldetectingholidays.com. You can follow us on Facebook, like us on Facebook, and follow what goes on there. And that's at Metal Detecting Holidays, Facebook.com/Metal Detecting Holidays, or follow us at Metal Detecting Holidays with no spaces on Instagram, and you'll almost get like a dig diary of what's coming up daily. And all the photos are finds that have been made by myself, friends of MDH, and guests of MDH all around our local area. So, but yeah, feel free, give us a follow, give us a like, or just come and drop us a line if you want to know any more information. And we'd be more than happy to answer any questions like we have done tonight.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot because we have 1 minute left. For the people in the United States and Australia and everything else thinking about doing this, why should they pick you?
I would say because we are the new kids on the block. Give us a go. We've I don't know. Just you really have put me on the spot there.
How about because you're more affordable? You've got some great land. There was another one I was just thinking. You're doing things by the book, which I think is really important, and people would want that. Sounds like. I mean, you've got me sold. So there's definitely some things you said tonight. So yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't answer that, but yeah, what you
put you on the spot. Sorry, Chris.
But if anyone has got any fears or wants to ask a question, whether they intend to come or not, ask us, and we'll put anything about anything. If you're wondering what's happened to that find we made, and you've seen it on Instagram, let us know, and we'll let you know more information about anything. We're completely transparent with what we're doing.
Absolutely,
fantastic.
Good. Thank you so much, Chris. I will get this on the other podcast as well, and we'll get you out there. We'll spread the information.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, Chris.
You too, and it's nice to speak to you finally.
Absolutely. It was great. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Cheers, mate, and I'll let you go then.
All right. Bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye.
All right, Dave. So it's just you and I. Look, we do super long shows all the time, right? We are at an hour.
The first one was the Christmas one, the Winkle episode.
Yeah. I say we end it. I've got this Rudis with the new update. I need to go play with it. My kid is gone. My kids are gone. Steph's gone. They went to the library, then bowling. And I'm just sitting here like, we could either do another really long podcast or you could get some sleep and I could go play with my Rudis.
Well, we can have 5 minutes, yeah. You
got 5 minutes.
We'll have a quick chat about the Rudis. Obviously, what's it all about? The new update, what does it offer, do you know?
I have taken it out of the box and put it together, but what really excites me is the iron audio. I told you, we talked about this on one of our shows about how I really like field hunting where old houses were. They've been long gone, get a lot of iron in there. And it's that iron audio, you can turn it down so you can still hear the iron, so you know like what kind of sweep speed you want, but it's not blasting in your ear. And it's because of you're in that iron, you want to, for me personally, I feel the best performance is a machine that is ran wide open. No discrimination, because you start introducing discrimination. I'm talking about in these fields, a shovelful would be nothing to have 20 square cut nails and maybe a couple big chunks of iron. They are littered. And so it's that is what impresses me the most. I can't wait to try that out and see how it works. I like the -90 to +90. I was talking to Matt the other day, Matt Hoffman, that does the Tuesday night podcast with me. And he was saying he bets the -90, that's all going to be the iron side, that you can probably tell different sizes and ranges of iron. Like the square cut nails should come in somewhere, horseshoes and another, should be in a group or a small VDI group, and, cannonballs, for people like in Virginia and stuff like that, or, where there's been, battles, that's probably really brilliant, because you really don't on most detectors. We don't know. I've got to try it. It's going to be playing with it and learning it. But I suspect that'll be the case. But we'll see. I don't know. I'm really excited.
So we'll get a full report, hopefully next week, from you on that.
Yeah, probably not next week, but here in the next couple of weeks for sure, we can bring it up more and talk about it and all that.
Good. And obviously, you wanted to discuss the up and coming guests on the show.
Yeah. Who we got?
Well, next week, if I'm not wrong, and I shouldn't be wrong because I'm on the All Metal Mode Facebook page, we have, hopefully, we're still waiting for confirmation, a representative from the National Council of Metal Detecting in the UK.
Ooh, very cool.
And they're going to be talking about the history of the NCMD, what goes on behind the scenes in the respects of the things they do for us with laws and such like, and also obviously they'll possibly give mention to Digging Deep magazine, the newsletter we receive quarterly, and hopefully some other bits and bobs that obviously, and I'm sure people will have questions that hopefully they'll be able to answer also. The following week, we've got a very, very good friend of mine called Steve Meara of Phenomena magazine. Now, Steve He is a parapsychologist by trade, mainly, but Steve has been involved in a hell of a lot of things, let's call them ancient archaeology and such like. Just last year, start of last year, Steve was over in Peru. And this was quite big in the media in the UK as well. There was I found a mummy in Peru, and Steve was one of the people who was able to actually look at it, do some DNA sampling and such like. And I think Steve will be able to give you a good rundown on that and the things that were found. And let's say hoax may be the issue there. Steve also. There's been recently a gentleman claiming to have found some material unknown in nature from the alleged crash site of the in Roswell in the USA of an alleged UFO. Obviously that'll be very interesting. The following week, the 31st, we have Jason Massey of Detecting for Veterans. Now, obviously, this is something I'm not a veteran. I've never been involved in the military in any way, shape or form, but it's something that I wholeheartedly appreciate due to the fact that I do know several people who have been in the military and found therapeutically metal detecting has helped them massively. And Jason and some of his group members are going to be coming on and discussing everything about digging for veterans, what it's all about, the charitable work they do, and the help, obviously, assisting people with potential, what's it called, the word, Mike? Post-traumatic stress, etc.
Yes.
So it's something I think that'll make a very good show. I'm very much looking forward to them. We also have, I've been contacting a few others, and so have Luke. I was one of the people you've been desperate to speak to learn a lot more was a representative from C-Scope, and I've been speaking to them this week, and they've said yes, not a problem. They'd love to come on the show. We just need to set a date with them. Okay. Looking at February at the moment, I don't think we've got set dates, but we do have a number of people. Skint Eastwood. Great. Obviously, you've asked you want to speak to the DeBays again, and one episode that I think we're going to be doing with a very, very special guest, Mr. Luke Higgins, who doesn't like coming on the radio and such like. We're hopefully going to be doing a show ourselves, the three of us, discussing the whole. It might even be half a show, where we have a guest for the first half, and obviously ourselves discussing the whole organised rally phenomena in the UK. Discuss the good and bad side of it, the evolution of the hobby, and obviously criticisms towards it, and etc., because obviously we, myself, you and Luke, speaking off air, think it's something that's highly representative in the country at the moment, and something that people will have an opinion on and would like to take part in the debate.
Yeah. Luke,
didn't I sound that intelligent then?
You always sound brilliant. I feel like a big dumb hillbilly when I do the show with you. You just sound so well spoken in your word, and I'm always just like, obviously
you've not met me in real life. I'm completely the opposite.
No,
I'm dumb.
You can't speak that good and be a big dumb hillbilly like me. It's not possible. Hey, Luke. Luke said John Webb for NCMD is confirmed.
Yeah. Yes, right. And we're also hoping another John Webb as well. John Webb, John 316 Metal Detecting. Graham Rushton from Unearthed UK. I still need to set a date with him. Luke, throw more names to Mike because I'm thinking and I'm scanning my mind at the moment.
Gary J. Finn, heavy metal detecting in February, he said. And yeah, I am most excited to have Luke on. We have to, he hates being on air and stuff, which I find we got to razz him pretty good. We got to give that guy a hard time because.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. A couple fat guys need to gang up on the little guy.
I really do think there's several people who will also appreciate that experience as well. Right. Notably, Mr. Marchesi.
Andre said Julian Evanhart, please. Absolutely.
Undoubtedly, Julian's a must. It's again, it's a case of we've been so busy, and obviously other guests being on. We've obviously not got around to communicating with Julian to set a date. But I'm desperate to converse with Julian at length.
When we did the live at Detectival, I think I knew I at least had heard of everybody, or most of them, and I knew who I was going to. Well, I didn't know until they came on, or you told me who I was talking to next, but I had never heard of Julian Evanhart, and I will be honest with you, I enjoyed talking to him more than anybody else. His little story that he told, I just thought, inside while he's talking, I'm just thinking, oh my God, we got to get this guy on. We've got to get this guy on. So yeah.
Julian should definitely do an audio book of stories, because I'd listen to them all day, and I'm sure he's got absolutely millions of them.
Yeah, I could listen all day. I mean, that's going to be a long show if he'll let us, because I was very, very impressed with him, and we've got a lot.
He's the editor of Treasure Hunting magazine in the UK, so obviously he's a very well recognised and appreciated person in the UK.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And obviously, I've met him for the first time when we were at Detectable, and he's just probably one of the most likable people I've ever met in the hobby.
Oh, don't tell me that. I'm already man crushing. I don't make him even sound better, because I'm already kind of man crushing. I'm telling you, man. When we talked, I was just like, wow, I just wanted to be that little kid that sits down in the front row with my legs crossed and listen to stories all day, from the teacher that you know what I mean? Like he just, wow.
I really can't speak highly enough of him, to be honest.
Yeah, that's great.
Fantastic. Oh, and another one we've got, hopefully Nathan from Black Ada coming on as well.
Absolutely.
He's another one who said, he'll come on. So, again, it's just ourselves sitting down between the three of us and concocting the date so we don't double book like we've done once or twice when we first started doing the show.
Right. We're getting the hang of it. Luke has done awesome, and one of the reasons I'm glad he's on. Although we're going to have to give him a hard time to go. I want to recognize him for all of his hard work and everything he's put in. Luke, we can't say enough, buddy. We so appreciate all your work and dedication and help. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it certainly is, and somebody else I can't speak highly enough of for everything he's done for the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine since he came on board 2 years ago. He's been he's limitless his input and the ideas when we were in actual conversation, the the ideas that we knock off each other, some of them are quite profound, and some of them we have put down on paper and we're working towards in the future, and I'm very excited, especially one of them in particular that's coming up in the coming weeks or months, I hope.
Great, awesome. You guys will have to. I don't think I know what that is. You're gonna have to.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
Oh, do I?
Yeah.
I'll tell you
we've discussed it with the people that we work with closest. What we like to call loosely the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine network. Our friends within the subject, we have give mention to that, because obviously some of what we'll be doing, we like the input of certain people in. So all about it.
Kevin said, appreciate your work, not your hat collection. I love his hats, man. I love them. I'm going to get me one eventually. I've got to have
my wife got me one for Christmas.
Did she really?
If you remember it, you must have seen the picture.
I did see it. Yeah.
On Christmas Day.
I didn't know it was new, though. Yeah, that is awesome. I want one of them hats. I think it'd go really good with my beard. I'm just saying.
Mike, have you never watched the program Peaky Blinders on the Netflix or anything?
No, I have not. I've heard of it.
Watch the Peaky Blinders, it's basically set just after the First World War in the Black Country, Birmingham area, and it's basically gangs, but it's fantastic. The storylines are brilliant, and the Peaky Blinders are called the Peaky Blinders. They all wear peaky caps, and they've all got razor blades sewn into the edges as well for when they're in battle.
No, cool. Yeah, I'll have to catch it.
It's absolutely massive in the UK. The amount of bars and events that take place now. There's even Peaky Blinders beer from, would you believe, Sadler's Brewery in down Birmingham. So massive, the Peaky Blinders in the UK at the moment.
Unfortunately, I don't get a lot of TV time with the kids and stuff. But yeah, well, all right, let's close this down, Dave. I'm so excited. I got it right before we went on the show. Like, I got it set up and I was already running late, so I just want to go. Nobody's home. I think I'm going to go crawl in bed and snuggle with it for a few minutes. Maybe talk to it.
What are you going to call it?
I don't know.
You got to give it a name.
Yeah, yeah. They all have names. I got to see how she performs in the bed first before I start thinking of names. So.
Okie dokie, my friends. So we'll speak to each other in the week off air and look forward to next week's show with hopefully the John Webb from the National Council of Metal Detecting.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. The day after my birthday. If anybody wants to send me a plane ticket to come over or anything, next week is my birthday. Just a heads up. Next Wednesday. All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed it. Good night.